So we know that Bastard Munchin has two major philosophies. One of them is Bastard Munchin's philosophy of rationality, which has Michael Kaiser in the center. Although Michael Kaiser has not been living up to that at all with his irrational plays because he's so obsessed with crushing Isagi. Now, the second philosophy within the team is, of course, the chemical reactions. And as of now, after Hiyori and Isagi completely crushed Kaiser and Ness, this philosophy seems to be the leading one within the Bastard Munchin team. I've seen a couple of you saying that Kiyora should side with Kunigami instead, because that would be more exciting. But I don't really think that it's too much of a rational option. Even though Kunigami still boasts the best numbers in terms of his specs, he has literally been of no use in Bastard Munchin's match against Ubers. His crushed ego is not the right dude for Kiyora to side with. Not to mention, if he doesn't contribute much at all in their match against PXG, it will be over for him as a striker as he won't have any bids coming his way. Even if Kunigami were to go through some sort of evolution, which I think he would, that territory would still be too uncertain for him to take. Now, some of you might say, but Isagi was literally the reason why he couldn't be playing in the Ubers match, so shouldn't he be holding a grudge against him? Well, I don't really think that's the case because Isagi's explanation of the situation when he wanted to sub in Hiyori instead was pretty clear and rational as well, even though Noah didn't think that way. Let's look at the conversation that was at hand to give you a more clear idea of my thoughts. Isagi has said that Kiyora is a talented player, and if we look at his individual stats, it's right up there with the rest of the strikers. Plus, his skill set allows him to take over Corona's place at the right back position seamlessly. Before I continue with the dialogue, can we just take a moment to think about how Kiyora possibly could be having a grudge on Isagi with words like that? But anyways, to defeat a team like Ubers as they are right now, they'd need a player that is hard to predict, who can improvise on the fly. We need a playmaker who can breathe new ideas onto the pitch, a game changer. But obviously, Noah was against that, as we've said earlier, telling him that the Bastard team has a clear rule where players are ranked and picked according to their overall numbers. Yet you insist on breaking this rule and using a player with a lower rank? What is your logical argument for this? He asks. So Isagi responds with that it's for him to score goals, so he had asked Noah to put Hiyori in instead of Kiyora. He told Kiyora that he was sorry and that he wanted to try something with Hiyori. Hiyori is the only player who sees the game like I do. He's the only one who can keep up with my vision and thought process. So Hiyori tells Noah that if they'd had one more playmaker who sees the game from a bird's eye view, then that player can anticipate Isagi's movements and support him. If we can do that, we can minimize the time Isagi has to spend on strategizing and therefore increase his play speed. To the opponent, it would seem like there are two Isagis on the field, and he believes that against the current Ubers, this is the best, most logical tactic they could be using to win the game. Now, what this interaction tells us is that Isagi and Hiyori really thought this out, so Kiyora can't really argue much against a hypothesis like that. Furthermore, he reacted to the situation in a very calm manner as well. But that might also just probably be his personality. Now, it would have been different if Hiyori and Isagi didn't pull their visions off and failed to score the last goal with each other, absolutely. But they did, and proved Noah wrong. So the effort wasn't wasted as well, and this extra bench time too. On top of that, he will be guaranteed to play in the next match like Noah has stated. These are the reasons why I don't think that Kiyora holds a grudge against Isagi. But this doesn't fully explain my reasoning for thinking that he'd choose Isagi, so let's give you the full picture. On top of what I've already told you, another reason for Kiyora to choose Isagi over anyone else is that he's been the man of the match by far in this game. He scored 2 out of the 3 goals he could have scored in a match and was in general responsible for most of the opportunities that the Bastard Munchin team has had. Some of you might still think that maybe he'd choose Kaiser instead, since he's made that super goal where he'd use RU to get into the air and score a goal with a bicycle kick through the use of Predator Eye. So why wouldn't he be a good option for Kiyora? Well, the interaction between Ness and Kaiser in Chapter 221 will tell you everything you'd need to know, so pay close attention. After he has scored that goal, Ness was running up to Kaiser, telling him that his goal was incredible and that he saw how Isagi would have a chance on goal, get crushed, and as a result, have no other option but to pass, and also how Lorenzo would have to leave you to deal with the pass. After stealing the ball from that loser Yoichi, you stole the entire show by destroying them with the Kaiser impact. As he boasts on, though, saying, "Did you see that, assholes? This is Michael Kaiser's true strength. This is the ability of the man who is going to become the world's best striker." But after that, something really unexpected happened. Kaiser had told Ness to shut the hell up because that goal that he was so happily explaining with that idiot look on his face was nothing but a shitty goal. For Kaiser to get Lorenzo off him and score, he had no other choice but to resort to that shitty tactic. Although Ness argues that it was amazing, as most others would think too, Kaiser called him stupid and told him, "Do you think I'll be happy with scoring a goal where I was feeding on Yoichi's scraps like a goddamn hyena?" That entire play started with Yoichi. Once he got the ball, the Uber's defense moved to stop him, and as a result, Lorenzo was forced to leave me to deal with Yoichi's pass. In the end, his goal was just a pitiful dessert. The leading figure of that goal was undoubtedly Isagi Yoichi. He can't forgive himself for scoring a goal like that, but he had promised Isagi that they would be competing to see who could score the most goals. It's frustrating, but we both have one goal this match. He said that that last goal would have been his, but it was Isagi's instead. Now, Isagi's dialogue after Kaiser finished his in that same chapter was interesting too, and gives more insight into the situation. Isagi praised Kaiser for outreading his thought process and that insane shot he had pulled off, and how he could shoot a lot of times and probably never be able to replicate it. Everyone here on the field, or even the entire world, wouldn't be able to pull off such a shot. This is the rival that he needs to take down if he'd want to become the best player in the world. But he had realized that just then, he was definitely keeping track of him. If he hadn't done so, that goal would have been impossible. It's coming to a point where he constantly needs to keep track of him to score a goal. Slowly but surely, Isagi is getting into Kaiser's head. Also, considering that PXG is going to be the toughest team they've faced yet, Isagi is going to need all the manpower possible to win that game. So these are all the reasons that make siding with Isagi the most rational decision for Kiyora Jin. If you resonate with my content, feel free to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. I'm out, egoists. Peace.